Hey, what's going on everyone? Ryan again with rpkcustoms.com. This is a run announcement video. If you guys are part of the groups on Facebook, you may or may not have seen my post about the Darth Vader severed hand stunt that I've been working on. Now, Evan from Props of the Original Trilogy pointed me in the direction of this prop. I didn't even know this existed, but if you guys have been following me, you know that I have been making the Luke Skywalker resin cast sabers. And I was unaware that Darth Vader also had a resin stunt prop. The resin stunt prop that he used was when Luke Skywalker chopped off Darth Vader's hand in the end of Return of the Jedi. So, this is the Darth Vader severed hand stunt. This is one that I have painted up. So I tried to get as many details in this saber as I possibly could. I was able to get on the RPF and find some reference photos, some really clear reference photos, which showed a lot of details. One detail that I saw was this little bit of T-track right here was misaligned to the clamp. So you can see the orientation, it's off just a little bit. That's one detail I picked up on. Another detail was right here in this little thumb screw. There was what appeared to be a slotted screw holding all this together. Another detail was the little, what looked like some kind of electrical connector in there. We could see in the reference photo that the lever looked like it had been busted off. Another detail is the little scoop out of the top bubble strip. I also tried to get all of the damage in the grip section in the actual mold to the best of my ability. So all this damage, all these chips out of the T-tracks in the grip section, all these are part of the actual mold itself. I did not do any of these after the fact. So when you order this, if you order the raw version, which I also have the raw version, this is what the raw version looks like. It is just a white, plain white casting, and you can see all of the chips and the damage in the T-tracks themselves. So this is basically just a fresh pull. I just pulled this out of one of the molds. So this is what it's going to look like if you get a raw cast, if you want to paint one of these up yourself. Very little work is going to have to go into this to get it ready for paint. Just a little bit of sanding here on the casting lines, and that's about it. Now, another detail that I was able to pick up on was a hollow bottom. And just like the R2 saber, the Darth Vader severed hand stunt also had a hollow bottom in it. Now, the reference photos showed it was hollow quite a ways up. Probably at least, I would say, 3 inches up. I'm not sure why they did that. It could have been they were trying to use it for something else. They thought they were going to need maybe some kind of an air compressor or something in there to shoot this out of something. I'm not really sure, but there was a hollow bottom and it was hollow quite a bit. Now, I use the pommel as a pour spout for the mold. So I have to cut the pour spout off, and then I usually Dremel the bottom in a little bit, usually about 1/4 of an inch. It's about 1/4 of an inch deep in there, so not much, just to give an effect that this is hollow on the inside. If you wanted to, if you got the raw kit, you can Dremel this out as deep as you want. It is going to come slightly Dremeled out for you. So really the only thing you're gonna have to do is just sand this a little bit and then paint it if you get the raw kit. You can see, hopefully you can see that there are no little micro bubbles or anything like that in the cast. I am still using my pressure pot the same pressure pot that blew up in my face, but I have a different version, different way I'm doing it now that is a lot safer. So you're not going to have to worry about any kind of bubbling in the mold itself. Especially right here, you can see a nice clear view. These are going to come both in weathered and in raw version. So if you want to paint one of these up yourself, you're more than welcome. If you want to get a painted version, you're more than welcome. The painted versions are going to be a little bit of a pre-order item. I have started doing the casting. It's just going to take some time because I can only do one of these at a time. I only have one mold, so I basically have to pour the cast, let it sit for 24 hours, and let the resin fully cure, peel this out, and then pour another one. So I can really only do one of these a day. So it's going to take some time to get enough of these ready for paint. But like I said, I am in the process of casting now, so I should have at least a few of them made before the run goes live on my website. Another detail you can see is in here, there's a little divot. We can see that detail in the reference photos, and I tried to replicate that the best I could. And I've never made a Darth Vader saber before. This is my very first Darth Vader prop that I have built. So Darth Vader saber has never really been on my radar as a collector. I've always been more focused on the Luke Skywalker lightsabers from the original trilogy. And I never really got too much into Obi-Wan's until recently, and now I am doing Darth Vader's. The way I made the resin saber is I machined a full metal version of the severed hand stunt, and then I cast this version in resin. I had to use something to make a mold out of, so I just went ahead and I machined something out of solid aluminum. This thing is extremely heavy. Now this was just meant to be cast. I did not really make this to, you know, be any kind of accurate prop. I mean, you can see there are scratches in the aluminum, and it's not a perfect piece. I still have some work to do. I still have to paint up here in the eye holes, and I have some painting left to do on the screws in the grip section. But this is what I used to make the mold itself. I have been working on this prop for probably about 3 or 4 months since I started. I started this back in September, and Shane from the Props of the Original Trilogy Facebook group has been helping me out along the way with some of the details. One thing I had to do, it was make the shroud here that you can see. I had to make that from scratch. There was nobody in the community that makes, nobody that I could find that makes a Barbicane style shroud, which is what this is. For those of you who don't know, the Barbicane saber is a different version of this saber. Basically, it's the same saber. There's just some small details that they changed. The clamp is in the up position, and the instead of a thumb screw right here, there is what looks like a cobalt. I don't know a lot about the Barbicane saber, so I just know that it's a little bit different. But the mold was taken from the Barbicane saber, so it still has the same shroud. And in order to get that shroud, I had to custom make something, and that's what took the longest. First, I got some Delrin, and I sculpted the majority of the shroud out of Delrin, and then I had to put a piece of aluminum flashing on for the flat section of the shroud, and then I used some Bondo to kind of like mold the edges in, blend everything together, and create the shroud. And then I made a mold out of silicone, and then I cast that in resin to get the actual shroud itself. So not only am I going to be offering the Vader Severed Hand Stunt on my website, I am also going to be offering the shroud itself. Since I could find nobody in the community that makes a Barbicane shroud, I decided just to offer one of these. I have the silicone mold made up, so there's no reason why I cannot offer one of these as well. So by the time you see this video, the Vader severed hand stunt, as well as the Barbicane style shroud, is going to be available on my website. The shrouds are going to just come in white resin, and you are going to have to paint it up and weather it if you want, but those are just going to be white resin. The Vader severed hand stunt is also going to come in white resin, obviously. You guys saw just the plain white resin. The reason I cast it in white resin is because the reference photos, you can see everywhere where the paint is chipping away, you can see white underneath. So, you know, in the reference photos, you can see around the shroud, the paint's chipped and you can see white. That leads me to believe that they once again used white resin, just like they did in the Luke Skywalker resin stunt props. Give you one last look. I had a lot of fun building this. Like I said, this is my first Darth Vader lightsaber that I've built, and it will not be my last. I've actually got a DV6 that I'm working on currently. I got the kit from Wanawanga. And speaking of Wanawanga, I want to give a huge shout out to both Wanawanga and Roman Props. Roy from Wanawanga allowed me to use his T-Track grips, as well as the bubble strip that you see here for this mold. Roman Props allowed me to use one of his MPP replica clamps for the mold. So I want to give a huge shout out to Roman Props and Wanawanga. They have some great stuff on their website. They offer some great products for the community, and I'm just grateful that they allowed me to use their products for this mold. All right, guys, you can pick up your Darth Vader severed hand stunt on my website, rpkcustoms.com. And yeah, I think that'll about do it. May the Force be with you.